Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to 13 Now. We're here sitting with Walton County School Board District 4 seat candidate and incumbent Marsha Winegarner. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mia, for allowing us to be here.
So great. Can you just talk a little bit, for those who may not know you, about who you are, and just a little bit about your background and your career in Walton County?
Oh, it would be my pleasure to do that. I'm running for re-election to the school board because I think I found my niche in life right now, and my niche has been created with my natural history over the years. I'm from the city of Chicago and was, as an inner city, south side of Chicago kid, enjoyed it, but I really didn't find my true calling in the schools there. I had a good time, but I moved on and did go to college. It was appropriate for the time. And in college, I discovered science. And for that, the rest of my life has turned out to be quite an amazing adventure. I went to the University of South Florida. I took every science course available there. And for some reason, one doesn't know why your brain turns, it does. I wanted to study the biology of the opossum. And they intrigued me because they have a very interesting reproductive cycle, a reproductive tract, very different than most mammals. And in this adventure, I found that while I'm at the University of South Florida, the best way to study these possums would be to go to the Archbold Biological Station in Lake Placid, Florida. And they allowed me to come there and were very, very cordial. Mr. Archbold became a second father to me. He was very, very helpful in finding ways and places to research the opossum. And I did a lot of, I had to trap the opossums and process the opossums. And not only that, the exciting thing is I learned a lot about the opossums and their biology. Their reproductive tract is unusual because it is a little bifurcate system, and their reproductive system goes through the year and may have as many as three reproductive cycles. Well, that led me to still getting my master's degree at the Archbold Station, and got another job with the Department of Health in Tampa, because they were looking for someone who could take a blood sample from a possum while it's live, because they were looking at the encephalitis situation in the day, another epidemic, and they needed blood from live possums to do this. The men wouldn't do it, so Marsha was called to do that, and also the research of and the biology of the epidemiology of the possum and the encephalitis. So that was my pursuit for a while. I published on the research in the opossum. And then I moved on because I also became interested in reproductive biology and endocrinology, and studied the natural history of the bobcat at the Archbold Station. And I tracked bobcats and found out during that time, I went back up to say that the Lake Placid High School was looking for a science teacher for half a semester. Could I please take time from my research to work for them? And I said, oh, that'll be fun. Well, that was the bug that bit, because I really enjoyed the students. I really enjoyed the teaching, and I've always loved the science. So it was just a natural love affair. And the community treated me so well, and everyone did. I was there for a while, and long enough to actually get a sabbatical from the school district to study the bobcat full-time, day and night in the woods, and that was very, very successful. In the meantime, I should mention that I married my husband, Chet Winegarner, and he was a research scientist from the American Museum of Natural History that was working at the Archbold Station. Well, we had a wonderful life there. People came from all over the world to research at the Archbold Station, so it really gave you an opportunity to grow. in your life and meet many, many people around the world. I had a mentor, Paul Lehausen, came from Germany to help me with my Bobcat work. Well, it was a wonderful life. In the meantime, we've been there for a while. My husband was ready to move on. He wanted to take a leave from the museum. We moved to where there were trees. The Archbold Station is wonderful, but it's on the sand dunes of the Highlands Ridge. We decided to move where there are pine trees, and if any of you are familiar with the area, there's pine trees in Walton County, and we found that a very, very favorable environment for us. So we moved there. We moved there in 1986, and Walton County was rural, and it was an area that we were seeking. Very different than it is today. When we went to Walton County, I had trouble finding a job because in Walton County in those days, everyone that lived there, worked there, and didn't leave there. So they were very difficult, very difficult to get a job opening, unlike today. One of my colleagues, Beth Yates, was a science teacher. She had to leave because of a child. She was going to be gone for 7 years, and I took her position and enjoyed it enormously, getting to know the people of Walton County and just the nature of the community. The beach is very different from the inland, but yet really inviting. They're very friendly people there. Well, one day in my classroom at Walton High School, I got a phone call to please call Tallahassee. And lots of things led to this phone call. I had been presidential award, had received a presidential award for excellence in science teaching. I was the teacher of the year the first year I was there. And so they knew about me in Tallahassee. Betty Castor actually knew me because I had gone to a seminar from her. She was a commissioner of education at the time. Well, they wanted me to become the state science coordinator for K-12. And I thought, well, that's very exciting. And why do you want a teacher like myself who has experience in lots of areas? I was in I was at a Rickover Institute 3 different years and taught gifted and talented. I taught exceptional children in all kinds of areas. Why would you want me? Because they wanted someone who knew the classroom, who knew outside of the classroom, and could help them bring to teachers from around the state to a common ground. So I was interviewed for the position and was very surprised. Out of all the candidates, they selected me to go to Tallahassee, which then becomes, what about the family farm? My husband has been so supportive my whole life. He said, if that's what you want to do, you can commute. I'll see you more when you commute from Tallahassee than if you're at school, because at school you're there all the time. So I accepted the position and was there for 12 years, and it was kind of a broke a rule of mine, because I've always had the thought of thinking, do something for 7 years, because then you can grow and people around you can grow, and that's a really good thing. Well, I couldn't help but stay at the Department of Education longer than that, because I really enjoyed the job. I've been almost all the schools, all of the districts in the state of Florida, and really know all of the teachers. I've been involved in the State Science Teachers Association, so I knew a lot of people. And during that time, I'm proud to say I worked in 12 years. I worked for 7 different commissioners of education. Betty Castor left quite quickly after I did. I was disappointed, but I had many other commissioners, and you learn a lot when you have people teaching you in all the directions. So it was a wonderful opportunity. But after that point, I felt, Marsha, move on. So the department was changing, their ideas were changing, and I thought, I want to go back to Walton County and dig in. And Walton County was very kind and said, come on, Marsha, we've got a position for you. and it was working with teachers in reading programs, in science programs, and basically just in school improvement right around the district. So I had an office in Freeport High School, and I was there on Thursdays, but I was in all the other schools and other days of the week working with teachers in many different directions. I really enjoy working with teachers as much as I work with students. So I did that for a while, and I'm one of those people that became tenured, and it was time for me to leave the system. So I took all the knowledge that I obtained from this and decided to open my own company. And I had avenues and a way to do that. And it was MLSW Consulting. And I worked for teachers and districts all over the state of Florida. And then because at that time, or prior to that time, we had developed the Sunshine State Standards, which are history now, but at that time, our governors, the Florida governor and the Texas governor, were brothers, and I became very involved in what was going on in Texas as well. So I did a lot of work in eastern United States, but a lot of work in Texas and in Florida during that time. And once again, I came called home, don't travel so much. You don't have to live going from school to school. It's very rewarding because you learn so much to be learned in all these different districts. And so I had previously thought maybe the school board, but Mark Davis was our wonderful district school board member for a while, maybe even a long time, over teens of years. And he's wonderful. He did a wonderful job. I tried to run against him, and I was in the process of doing it. I said, Mark, no, you're doing so good. So I sort of backed off, and he won the election, and I was pleased, and I kept working in the company. But then I got a call from Mark in 2015, and he said, I'm not doing it anymore, Marsha. So I put my hat in the ring, and I ran for school board in 2016, and it's been just a pleasure to do that. I love working with the people. I know all the schools. I don't know all the people. There are more people now, 44,000 voters in Walton County, but really enjoyed it. And then while I'm on the board, there's a whole litany of things to learn. You become a certified board member, and I took courses in governance and chairmanship and anything that the Florida School Board Association would offer. And then also I became involved. I was elected to the board of directors of the Florida School Board Association, and that was in 2018, and I was in 2019, and then I was just re-elected last week to serve another term, and that term will go as long as I stay on the board, which is until November. So we're going to try to win this election and stay involved in the Florida School Board Association, because we're real big advocates for public education. But when that comes out of my mouth, I say, well, I have to tell you, public education includes our charter schools. Okay, charter schools are public schools as well, and we have two wonderful charter schools in Walton County. They meet two terribly different needs, but they're very well run and really good people. And I guess I brought you to the school board, but I want to say that being on the school board was wonderful because there's 5 of us, and we kind of, it's a group or nothing. We only speak when we're in the sunshine, but we're all so compatible. It's been a pleasure to work with everybody on the board. I know a lot of people in a lot of school boards around the state, and they don't always have that same kind of relationship. They tend to spend too much time figuring out how they're going to work together. But with us, we kind of nod and we just kind of work together. It's been a really remarkable experience. And I'm sorry, Mia, I talk way too much, but push the button and that's it. And so please, if you have any questions for me.
Great. So as an incumbent on the school board, what are your top 3 priorities moving forward?
they're monumental priorities, but number one is to get the schools open. And how are we going to do that? We had a board meeting on Tuesday. It was preceded by a meeting to establish an architect for the Freeport Elementary reconstruction phase. And during that meeting, which came at went from 12:45 to 4:45, we were all sequestered in that meeting. But in the meantime, we could see the flurry in the background. We're all doing it virtually at this point. The governor was speaking, and the commissioner was speaking, and unbeknownst to us, everything was changing. So we, at the board meeting, the superintendent assured us that he had people in the room listening to what was going on, and everybody is so concerned about opening. And why not? You know, life just revolves around these children, and we want them to get the best aspect of anything. So that's a high priority. And how to open them, but then what do they look like? How are we going to do 4x4? Are we other day, on day, a day off, day on? We have a lot of technology in our district, so we can do a lot of home work with that. We did that at the closing. We don't know. So that's.
What are your suggestions? And what would you kind of like to, in your ideal world, what would you like to see?
Well, I love these kids, and I think you can make them do anything if they love you and you love them. And so I think we got to open them up. I came in here with a mask. I have a mask almost everywhere I go. And those kids can be proud, and they can wear a mask, and they can be safe. I just know they can do that. So that would be my personal choice. Is we've got the masks on hand. We've been told that already, and use the masks. Mask on the bus, mask in the classroom. I think we can do it. I really have a faith in our kids. So that would be my recommendation, and to get it on track. You know, I don't know how they can play football and band, and I don't know how you do a flute with a mask on, but kids are innovative, and if parents can just hang on and follow suit, I think they can do that as well. Can I give my other two things, high priorities? Okay. The high priorities for us, and again, it's because of the pandemic, but it's also because the nature of life these days. We are, and I'm sure every other district is looking at the same situation. We have our special needs kids that are really put off by everything that's happened to us this spring. They have trouble relating. They have special needs anyway, whether they're extremely talented, whether they have certain disabilities. Whatever the children need help getting over this crisis. We've had this meeting. We had this need 2 years ago, 3 years ago, because we have real trouble getting certified teachers to teach the kids in modified situations. What happens to us? We have farmed some of the positions out with contractors. That helps us a little bit. What also happens is people become aware of our needs, so they go get PhDs and certification and increase their knowledge and say, okay, we're here to help you. But then we get more money, we get more funding for these extra costs, but it kind of way balloons our budget to have these exorbitant salaries. And it hurts the people. We're trying to get our regular teachers more benefits, and thank you, Governor, for the extra money. We're all real happy about that. We've really had some good meetings about how to spend them. We are looking for the new teachers, but we're all looking for the senior teachers too. We can help everybody there. So that's enough of that, I guess. But the third need, because this is crucial. In Walton County, we're growing so fast. Because of Michael, we had a tremendous increase in population, 150 kids or something of us, and we welcome them all. but our population now is 10,100 kids, a lot of kids. And we have schools that are fine, but we have schools in the South Walton area that are too large. There's too many students. So we need a new situation we need to we're looking for land. I'm always looking for land. And then the funding, but we're okay because of our tax base. I think we're going to be okay with the funding. So that's what we're always working on, new schools. Like I said, we just had the technical review to get the new architects for the Freeport Elementary to bring it up to speed because it's so crowded. 1,200 kids in that school, and in my opinion, that's way too high. But we're looking for a new school in Freeport, and we've got the land donated, so now it's just a point of, that's another reason I want to be reelected, because my heart is so into this, and I don't want it to be, you know, distorted in any way. I really want to stay with the program. And also we're looking for land, and we have needs for South Walton as well.
Do you feel that all Walton County schools in all districts are treated fairly in regards to budgets and things like that?
Yes, yes. We have a wonderful financial officer, and she makes care that everybody is taken care of. Everybody gets their needs met. Their needs are different. They're very different in the different schools in the county. And we celebrate that diversity. You know, if you have an ag program, good, if that's what you want, and we're going to celebrate it. If you have big foreign language programs, because in that area that's what the students are interested in, we celebrate that as well. So we really want to get everybody going.
And so in regards to Governor DeSantis's money for new teacher pay, how do you think that money should be used? Do you think it should go straight to salaries, or do you think it should be used for benefits? Or yeah, I guess what are your suggestions and what would you like to see?
We treat our teachers very well as far as benefits, and we've already talked about what we're going to do with the money, and we're going to get as much money as possible into the hands of the teachers. We got money from the CARE grant now. We also have other money from the governor, who's very generous to teachers. I think he understands that the teachers are the backbone of the county, of the nation, of the state. I should do more order, I guess, but it's really supported.
Okay. And one other thing that stuck out to me about you when you're talking about your career is that you helped develop the state standards. And so I just wanted to, I guess my question is, what are your thoughts on things like technical training and changing the curriculum in that way?
Well, I think you don't want to be stagnant with any of it. You know, when we were working on the Sunshine State Standards, we thought, wow, everything is good in the world now. Life is going to, you know, be perfect from on. And what we learned, as soon as you finish anything, you have to start something else. And that's what's been going on over the years. You know, we have very good standards, Sunshine State Standards, for all of our domains, math, science, reading, everybody. And we stay with the program of modifying, and the Department of Education is really good about bringing people in, people that are on the front line working with children and had professional development to be smart about things, to update our standards and our curriculum. And we do have technology in our schools. We have technology now in the course code directory. When I was teaching at Walton High, I had science, and I was the first science technology class in the state, I guess, because they had to figure out what to do with it in the course code directory. So now there is a course, many, many moons later, a course about that in the course code directory. So we're growing. In Walton County, we're also lucky. Everyone kind of looks at it and goes, yes, you have a good tax base, don't you? Yes, and so we do. I'm proud of it because it makes us stronger and richer in many, many ways, not just monetarily. And when the schools were closed, we enabled our students, if they could access the technology to have the computers to go at home. We're working now on getting the ability to get the program in the classroom, in the what am I trying to say? They have the bandwidth across the county, and our legislative person Brad Drake has brought that to us, so we're going to be in really good shape with our new network. And I say Brad Drake, I have to say George Gaynor too, because those people have been wonderful to us. When you're on a school board, you've got to know who your legislator and representative are, because they're so important to what goes on in the district. And they bring the things to the governor so he can veto them or pass them. And I really appreciate the fact that we have them there.
So do you think that Walton County schools should introduce more career and technical training, or do you think that you're in a good spot?
Oh, can't have enough technical and career training. You can't. We have the Emerald Coast Technical College in our district. We graduated 19 nurses from that college just last Monday. And the staff there is wonderful, and we're encouraged at every front. We have funding for that. I can tell I'm old. Carl Perkins or dollars are for that, and we have money for that, and we're really pushing that as much as we can. Now we do have a STEM school at the south end of the county, thanks to Port St. Joe and St. Joe Development Company, and that's really exciting because that brings a raft of about 60 students, but they come from South Walton High School, and they can come from other schools in the district as well. But to see these kids, I kind of like them too, you know, get their eyes bugged out, because look at the technology in this school, you know, look at the everything we can do here. It's just fantastic. So we're trying to do everything we can for everybody. But even in that high level skill, we're focusing on technical training as much as go get your PhD now, you know, because that to every person it's different.
Okay, great. Well, I think that's all I have. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, you've been so cordial, Mia, and I think I may have spoken too much, but I really appreciate the opportunity. I didn't think in this point in my life I would be running for school board again, but I think I have a wealth of background knowledge that you get from, you know, a living life that I have lived, and around so many wonderful people. We have so many wonderful people in Walton County as we grow, growing bigger and bigger, and so can I just say, I'd really like to be re-elected to the school board in Walton County.
Okay, well, Ms. Winegarner, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
You can revisit this interview on mypanhandle.com's Your Local Elections Headquarters page on the Meet the Candidates page. And thanks so much for tuning in today. Tomorrow we'll be sitting down with opposing candidate Jerry Michie at the same time tomorrow, 10 a.m. So make sure to tune in for that. That's all for today. I'm Mia Bel Salzano, live for 13 Now. See you tomorrow.